Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our Talks with Walt, as we are calling our readings to the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We turn now to a very interesting little poem, tucked away. Many readers don't even know that this poem exists because they haven't read closely Leaves of Grass. Orange Buds by Mail from Florida. Now, this little poem, number 48 of the 58 of Sands at 70, so clearly we're getting to the end of the cluster, is going to be for us a fascinating little study. And as we get into it, it's going to be, again, this observation about the miraculous nature of nature. And so we'll play that game. Now, our assumption is that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Talks will plot our playlist. Everything from the original inscription stuff up to and including a set of introductory comments to Sands at 70. And then we just finished with 20 years. Now, our Nortons will give us some background information. This poem actually has an interesting little kind of sub, right below the title, little sub-note that says Voltaire, quote, Voltaire closed a famous argument by claiming that a ship of war and the Grand Opera were proofs enough of civilization's and France's progress in his day. So this is going to be this lesser proof of Voltaire that he's commenting on. And obviously we're going to smile at 3A to mention Voltaire's Candide, that 1759 offering. We must cultivate our own gardens, and so we're going to have some fun there with that set of lines. This one was first published in the New York Herald, March 19th, 1888. Now, I love this little poem because of the way in which Whitman can celebrate, right, nature itself, and he does it with this amazing gift that he must have received. By the way, you'll remember Buds from Song of Myself 25. You'll also remember later when we get to it, you'll remember that it was Buds was used here. Unseen Buds will happen later on in Leaves of Grass as one of the last poems. And then Florida is mentioned 9 times in Leaves of Grass. It was a state that was just beginning to gain in popularity and notoriety, especially up north during Whitman's time. He'll say it this way: a lesser proof than old Voltaire's, yet greater. By the way, Voltaire only gets mentioned right here in again, this little note at the beginning of the poem, then obviously right here. By the way, notice, a lesser proof, yet greater. So we're going to engage in paradox. It's significant, I think, that Whitman read Voltaire. We've given lectures on him at learnstrong.net, but it is significant that that great thinker in the French tradition, some call him an atheist, some just call him a skeptic or an agnostic, that Whitman was influenced by him, I think is going to be significant, especially when we meet, for example, a poem like the one that follows this one, Twilight. I think Whitman is intentionally setting these poems in this order of this cluster. A lesser proof of, notice it's old, right? Old Voltaire's, yet greater. Proof of this present time. He's always trying to qualify modernity, right? And thou broad expanse, America. And as we've commented so many times, he doesn't use the term America very often. I hear America singing early on, but then, of course, only use this very sparingly. To my plain northern hut, in outside clouds and snow, brought safely for 1,000 miles o'er land and tide, some 3 days since on their own soil, live sprouting. Obviously, Leaves of Grass immediately comes to mind, as well as obviously the lilacs mentioned in Lilacs Bloom. Now, here, their sweetness through my room unfolding, that is the intentional verb, unfolding, a bunch of orange buds by mail from Florida. Now, I love this. Especially that he emphasizes old Voltaire, because this is obviously old Whitman. That is to say, it's kind of interesting, he says, that it only takes a single smell to awaken in me the majesty of nature, he'll say. That is to say, nature is always a miracle. And all it takes is just a couple of buds from Florida, and there I am, that wonderful smell as it unfolds within his little hut, as he calls it. At 2B, I love the fact that he uses the word buds, and obviously it's in a text called Leaves of Grass. At 3A, well, obviously Thoreau's Walden here comes to mind, the 1854 offering, but again, I'm going to mention Voltaire's Candide, 1759. Clearly, that notion at the very end, we must cultivate our own gardens, is a part of this. And I think that Whitman is doing more than just saying nature is amazing. I think he's also playing around with the fact that he wants his readers to know, oh yeah, no, I'm aware of Voltaire. I'm aware of the skepticism that Voltaire brings. I'm aware of the classical tradition of the French. Finally, a 3B is a way to kind of own a little poem like this. What was a time when you were reminded of the preciousness of new growth? It might have been, for example, in the spring. It might have been a gift that was sent to you that maybe is, just like leaves of grass, a gift. Thank you.